Hello students, welcome to the class of Software Engineering. In today's session, we are going to discuss about object-oriented design using the UML. So previously, we have learned about UML, the different diagrams in UML. Now we are going to see how object-oriented design is. So to develop an object-oriented design, there are several things that you need to do. So you need to keep in mind 5 important things. You need to keep in mind 5 important things. So this is a very important topic. So how you are developing an object-oriented design, you have to make note of these 5 points. First one is understand and define the context and the external interactions with the system. Second one is design the system architecture. Third one is identify the principal objects in the system. Fourth one is develop design models. Fifth one is specify the interfaces. So you need to know all these things. So we will study about this in the further slides in detail. So let us consider the first point, that is understand and define the context. Already you have studied about context model, correct? So what is that context model? Which will illustrate what lies in the context of your system or what lies in the boundaries of the system. So you will see what all other systems are there and what is the type of, what is actually the functionality of such systems. Now, the first stage in any software design process is to develop an understanding of the relationships between the software that is being designed and its external environment. So here you are trying to understand the relationship between the software that is being designed and its external environment. So how it is going to affect the environment. So you are going to see that one, because when you are developing a product or a system, you have to consider the external factors also. Okay, so like certain other things you need to keep in mind. It can be safety, security, how safe it will be for the environment, whether it doesn't cause any damage to the environment. You need to see that. Okay. Understanding of the context also lets you establish the boundaries of the system. So if you understand the context of your system, then you'll get to know what lies in the boundary of the system. So those systems you can identify. Those systems you can identify. So now we'll see the difference between system context model and interaction model. So we have the context model, already we have studied, and one more we have the interaction model. So 2 models you have already studied. What is the major difference between these 2? Okay. We need to see the major difference between context model and the interaction model. So just here, a system context model is a structural model. You have studied about structural model that demonstrates the other systems in the environment of the system being developed. So mainly it is a kind of a structural model, I can tell. Which one? The context model. It will demonstrate what all systems are there in the environment of the system which is being designed. Okay. Now, what is interaction model? It's a kind of dynamic model that shows how the system interacts with its environment as it is used. So there is a lot of difference. In context model is just a structural model which will show the other systems in the environment of this system which is being developed. But interaction model is like a dynamic model which will show how your system will interact with its environment once it is put into use. Once it is put into use. So you need to understand and define the context of your system. Still more, the context model of a system may be represented using associations. So you can represent the context model using associations. Now what are these associations? Associations show that there are some relationships between the entities involved in the association. So association mainly defines the relationship between the entities. Now what is an entity? It's an object, okay. So we will see one example here, okay. This figure, mainly this is a simple context model for your weather station. Already we have studied about it, weather station. So figure 15 shows that the systems in the environment of each weather station. Now we are taking the context, no? So the systems in the environment of each weather station are, so we are going to see, this is the weather station, okay yours. So here what all systems are there in the boundary of this system? So one is we have weather information here, weather information system. Next we have an onboard satellite system. You can see here one satellite system we have, and also a control system, So what do you have? So you can see what all systems are there in the environment of this weather station, because we are taking this figure as system context, means context model for your weather station. So this is the system being designed, weather station. So what lies in the boundary of the system? That is, what are the other systems we are seeing? One is the control system, weather information system, satellite. Okay. The cardinality information on the link shows that there is one control system but several weather stations. So you have the type of association here you can show also. So that is indicated by this cardinality ratio. Cardinality ratio. Can you see here? Control system, weather information system. So 1 is to 1 is to 1. So weather information system and satellite also 1 is to 1. You're getting the information system of one satellite. And weather stations can be n stations. Satellite is 1 is to n, 1 is to n. So you can see that there is one control system but several weather stations. One control system you have, but several weather stations you have. And one general weather information system. One general weather information system you have. Okay. So the use case model for the weather station is shown in another figure. Okay. This shows that you can see here. This is the weather station use case. Weather station use case. So already you have learnt about the use case diagram. So we have two actors now here. One is the weather information system and another one is the control system. So we have two actors now. Correct? We have two actors. One is the weather information system and another one is the control system. Weather information system can report weather, report the status. Okay. But what about control system? Controlling your system. So it can be a kind of software control system. So what you can do here is you can either restart your system, or sometimes because of some problem shut down the system. Then you can also reconfigure, power save your system, remote control access is also available. Clear? So this is the weather station use case. Weather station use case. So here the use case model for the weather station is shown. This shows that the weather station interacts with the weather information system. So your weather station actually interacts with this weather information system. Why? To report the weather data. One is to report the weather data and report status, that is also to report the status of the weather station hardware. So one is to report the weather data. Another one is to report the status of the weather station hardware. How is it? Any problems are there? All those things will be reported. Okay, now let us see about the use case description. So here the use case name is report weather, means report the weather data. Report the weather data. So we are representing in a tabular way. So here first we have the system. So what is this system name? System name. So what is your system? Weather station. And what is the use case name? Here already it is written, report weather. So you have to report the weather data. Actors. So one of the actor we are taking because you want the weather data, no? Here there are two actors, weather information system and control system. There are two actors, but we require only one actor, weather information system. That is because you want to collect the weather data, that's all. So one is weather information system and another one is the weather station. One is the weather information system and another one is the weather station. Now this is data, okay, data or it can be description, okay. So the weather station sends a summary of the weather data that has been collected from the instruments in the collection period to the weather information system. So actually the weather station will send the summary of the weather data. So weather stations will actually collect the data. How it will collect the data? From the various set of instruments. Like we are using a barometer to calculate the pressure, wind, then rainfall, all those things. So it will send, the weather station will then send a summary of the weather data that it will collect, no, to which one? The weather information system. Okay, the data sent are the maximum, it can be maximum, minimum. We are taking all those three values mainly because all the values you cannot consider. So we will take one as the maximum value, another one minimum and average. Okay. So average ground temperature, you can calculate air temperature, the maximum, minimum and average air pressures, the maximum, minimum and average wind speeds, the total rainfall as I've told, and the wind direction as sampled at 5-minute intervals. Time period is 5 minutes. Okay, clear. Now stimulus. What is the stimulus? The weather information system establishes a satellite communication link with the weather station and requests transmission of the data. So you can see here mainly you have the weather information system and this is the satellite, no? So the weather information system establishes a satellite communication link satellite communication link with this weather station. Keep in mind, weather information system will establish a satellite communication link with this weather station. Why? To get the data, and it will request transmission of the data. Data from where? Data from the weather station to weather information system you need to pass, because it needs to report the weather and report the status, no? So request transmission of the data. Clear? Okay. Now what is the response? The summarized data will be sent to the summarized data is actually collected by this weather station from various set of instruments. Now weather information system will send a request for transmission of the data, that is through this satellite communication link. Now what is the response? Weather station will send that data, summary of the data. Can you see? Yeah. Now it is sent to the weather information system. Comments: weather stations are usually asked to report once per hour, but this frequency may differ from one station to another and may be modified in the future. So you know that for 5-minute interval you are getting the details. So here the constraint is like weather station is asked to report once per hour. So imagine. So how the variation is there, how the frequency of the data is here, how the frequency of the data is. So this is about the use case description. So mainly the first point which we have given, understand and define the context, is clear for you. So how you have to understand the system which you are going to design and what all actually lies in the boundary of the system and how it is associated with your system. So you need to know about it. So that is about understand and define the context. Next, we'll move on to the second point, architectural design. So you have to design an architectural framework. I have to design an architectural framework. So this is very important now. You have to develop an architecture for the system. It's not like that you're directly starting with implementation or coding, whatever. You have to design your system. Once you design your system, it will be very easy to continue with the implementation part. So usually design is actually the better way to understand the system. Okay. So what you have to do is to design a system, how to design it. That is the main question. How to design it. See, identify the major components that make up the system. So first, you need to identify what all components are required to complete your system. And then you have to know their interactions. How actually one component interacts with another one. And then may organize the components using an architectural pattern such as a layered or client-server model. So already you have studied about it. So first you identify all the components that are required to build the system. Then try to understand the functionality of each component. Then how one component interacts with the another component. One component interacts with the another component. Okay. And next you have to organize those components. So how? Using an architectural pattern. Using an architectural pattern such as layered or client-server model. So you have studied about layered model already. OSI layer. One layer is above the another layer. Okay, then client-server model, what it is? Client will send the request to the server. Server will respond to that request. Server will respond to that request. So we will take the same weather station scenario example. We'll still take the same example, weather station. Okay, and we'll see the high level architectural design for that one. High level architectural design for it. Okay, that is shown in this figure. Okay, this is the high level architecture of the weather station. Okay, the weather station is composed of independent subsystems. So your components are nothing but here subsystems. Can you see here? So it is represented here, subsystem. So when you are representing how to represent a subsystem in the diagram notation is very important. Otherwise, entire figure will be wrong. Okay. So here, like in this type of notation indicates subsystem. Okay. So we have different subsystems here. So you'll get to know what all subsystems are there. So the weather station is composed of independent subsystems that communicate by broadcasting messages on a common infrastructure shown as the communication link. Where it is shown, this is the communication link. Okay. Each subsystem listens for messages on that infrastructure and picks up the messages that are intended for them. So here you can just see in the diagram, there are different subsystems which make up your weather station. Okay, so we are taking the high level architectural design here of the weather station. So you can see that these are the subsystems: fault manager, configuration manager, power manager, communications, data collection, instruments. So all these are the subsystems, and make a note that how you are going to represent. Look into the notation. This indicates it's a subsystem. And in between this, you have one channel, that is a communication link. It can be the network, your internet also it can be. So the thing is, you have independent components or independent subsystems, but how the one subsystem can send a message, broadcast a message to another subsystem. That is the point. So that is through this communication link, through this communication channel. So it can be your internet. So each subsystem listens for messages on that infrastructure. So each subsystem will listen for whatever message is being sent. Okay, and that particular subsystem will respond for the message. If the message is related to that particular subsystem, then it will respond to it. Okay, so picks up the messages that are intended for them. Picks up the messages that are intended for them. Clear? Okay. Next. So, for example, when the communications subsystem receives a control command, imagine the communications subsystem where it is here. Here is your communications subsystem. So when it receives a control command such as shutdown, so that message it receives, the command is picked up by each of the other subsystems, which then shut themselves down in the correct way. Okay, so this particular command will also be picked up by other subsystems, which will then start shutting down themselves. What is the benefit? The key benefit of this architecture is that it is easy to support different configurations of subsystems. So what is the major benefit of this architecture is it is easy to support. So the key benefit of this architecture is that it is easy to support different configurations of subsystems. That is one. Because the sender of a message does not need to address the message to a particular subsystem. So actually message will be broadcasted on that communication channel. So the sender of the message does not need to address the message to a particular subsystem. So you need not mention that this message is for this particular subsystem. Actually, when the message is broadcasted over the communication link, the other subsystems will listen to that message and will pick up that message. So that is one biggest advantage. Now, next figure will see the architecture of the data collection subsystem. Okay, data collection system. Yeah, we are going to see the architecture of data collection system. So data collection is one subsystem. Can you see here? Yeah, data collection is one subsystem. So we are going to see the architecture of that data collection subsystem. So what you can see in this architecture is you have transmitter, you have receiver, you have weather data. Okay. So here the transmitter and the receiver objects are concerned with managing the communication. So any communication should occur means it is the transmitter who will be sending the message and receiver will receive the message. And one more object you have weather data object. So you have transmitter object, receiver object, weather data object. So here the weather data object encapsulates the information that is collected from the instruments. So it will encapsulate what? The information that is collected from the various instruments, and that will be transmitted to your weather information system. That will be transmitted to the weather information system. So we have three objects: transmitter, receiver, and weather data object. So transmitter and receiver are both used for managing the communications, and weather data object will encapsulate whatever information is collected from various set of instruments, and also it will be transmitted to the weather information system. So that is about the second point which we have studied in detail. So that is the developing an architecture for your system. Now we'll see the third one, that is the object class identification. So this is very important. You need to identify the classes and the objects in your system. So there have been various proposals made about how to identify object classes in object-oriented systems. Now, how will you identify the object classes in your object-oriented design? So, we have several principles. Let us see into that. The first one I'll read. Use a grammatical analysis of a natural language description of the system to be constructed. So, you have to use a grammatical analysis of a natural language description of the system to be constructed. So if you are using objects and attributes, they should be nouns. Objects and attributes should be nouns, whereas the operations or services, you can describe them as verbs. Second point, use tangible entities or things in the application domain such as aircraft, roles such as manager or doctor, events such as request, interactions such as meetings, locations such as offices, organizational units such as companies, and so on. So you have to use tangible things, in your application domain. Like aircraft, you are using or roles such as manager, doctor, patient, all those events such as request, interactions such as meetings, it can be location such as it can be an organization or office or a company, etc. Third point, use a scenario based analysis where various scenarios of system use are identified and analyzed in turn. So here you need to use a scenario based analysis. So what is that scenario based analysis? You have to create scenarios. So try to identify the various scenarios for your system and analyze it. Where exactly you are using the system, analyze it. Now, as each scenario is analyzed, the team responsible for the analysis must identify the required objects, attributes, and operations. So mainly you have to identify the scenarios for your system, where exactly you are going to use the system in real life situation. So, and then you need to analyze those scenarios. So once the team which is responsible for that analysis needs to identify the objects, attributes, and operations of the class. Clear? So these are the three things you need to keep in mind. Okay, we'll take one example. You can see here weather station objects. So we have one class weather station, another one weather data, another one ground thermometer, anemometer, barometer. So you know that top section we have the attribute. Like for the weather station, identifier is one attribute. Identifier is something unique. So each weather station will have an identifier. Weather station methods, you can see report the weather, report status, power save, remote control, reconfigure, restart, shutdown. Now weather data, the attributes are air temperature, you can find out ground temperature, wind speed, wind direction, pressure, rainfall. So what is the operation? Collect, summarize. Then we have certain set of instruments, ground thermometer to measure the temperature. So this is actually the GT ident is again a unique identifier. Methods are get the value, test the value. Anemometer, wind speed and direction if you want. We are using that instrument. Barometer to measure the pressure, height, all those you are using that instrument. So here we can see that the ground thermometer, anemometer and barometer objects are nothing but application domain objects. They are application domain objects, and the weather station and weather data objects have been identified from the system description and scenario description. So the principal objects here are ground thermometer, anemometer, barometer. So these are the objects, like they are the application domain objects, and which are the objects which are identified from the description of your system or from the scenario. Scenario means here it is the use case. Those are weather station object and weather data object. So that is about the identifying the object class. Okay, so you are going to identify here the different objects for your system. So either through scenarios you can identify the objects. So we had seen the different objects of the weather station. So in detail let us go through it. First point is the weather station object class provides the basic interface of the weather station with its environment. So you can see the weather station object here. You have the weather station object. So this class provides the basic interface of the weather station with its environment. So its operations mainly reflect the interactions. So you can see here, weather station, it can have report weather method, report status, remote control, all those are the operations. Second one is the weather data object class. You can see is the weather data object class. Weather data object class. So this class is responsible for processing the report weather command. So whatever weather report has been received, that has to be processed, and that is done by the weather data. So it will collect all those weather data and it will make a summary of it. Okay, it sends the summarized data from the weather station instruments to the weather information system, as you know already about it. Then third one, we are having several other different object classes. One is ground thermometer, another one is anemometer, and the last one is barometer. So these object classes are directly related to instruments which you are going to use in the system. So they reflect tangible hardware entities in the system, and the operations are concerned with controlling that hardware or that equipment. So these objects operate autonomously to collect data at the specified frequency. So these instruments are mainly used to collect the data. So here these objects operate autonomously to collect the data at the specified frequency and store the collected data locally. So that will be stored in the local machine. This data is delivered to the weather data object on request. So now this weather data will be actually sent to the weather station. Okay, over your satellite link, I can tell you. So it will receive the data. Weather station will receive the data. And what about weather data object class? It will actually make a summary of it and send all those reports to the weather information system. Clear? Thank you.